G'day, my name is Chris Betcher, and you are joining me this morning for a chat with Lisa Highfill. And Lisa is the guest keynote at the upcoming New Zealand Summit events in Auckland and Christchurch. And we'll talk more about that later. But first, I want to introduce you to Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Good to see you, Chris.
Great to see you. I'm really excited that we'll have you down in New Zealand.
I know, I cannot believe I'm coming to New Zealand. I'm beyond excited.
Now, I know you very well, and I know a lot of people here in Australia know you very well because you've been here a couple of times, and people love you down here, but you've never been in New Zealand. So tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What do you do?
I was a fifth grade teacher for 20 years and loved it. And then I started integrating technology into my classroom, and we decided to start in our district a coaching role to teach teachers how to integrate technology in their classrooms. And I've been doing that for the past 6 years. So now I get to work with kindergarten through 12th grade teachers and students around good lessons design and using technology.
Fantastic. And I think that's why I think the stuff you've done in Australia, at least, has resonated so much, because you really are all about the pedagogy and the lessons and the learning, and the technology is just there to help facilitate all that. But you're not, I mean, I don't think you think of yourself as a technologist.
No, I'm not. I actually have to always bring that in, like, oh yeah, and technology, because I don't naturally think that way, I guess. I'm always thinking about ways to deliver instruction and different ways for kids to experience learning so that it's really powerful experiences. Having been a student, I can't believe I'm in education, actually, because I really hated school, going through school. I was one of those students that you all can remember through the years. And I really want to use that actually to create lessons that I know would reach every student, no matter who they are or what they're able to do. But at the same time, I really feel for teachers and the challenges they have to meet unique individual learning styles and situations and tasks with all that teachers have to do and accomplish. I find teaching and instruction fascinating craft that I love to just study and experiment with and try out and see how we can make it not just efficient, like to get it done. I don't want the easy way. It's never going to be easy. It always takes a little work. But how can we make it, if we're going to spend the work and the time, how can we make it really good?
Yeah, I know. I used to love, I mean, my classroom was my laboratory, and I'd have ideas about how kids learned, and you'd try those ideas out, and I know that you do the same thing. Yeah. So you're doing a keynote at both events, and just to clarify for people, you will be in Christchurch. I'm just going to double check the dates. You'll be in Christchurch on April the 15th, and the event goes the 15th and 16th, but we are actually splitting you across Christchurch and Auckland. So you're going to be there in Christchurch for the 15th, and then that evening head up to Auckland and be there for Auckland on the 16th and 17th. So you're a busy girl. Yes. And you're giving a keynote at both events, and I believe your keynote is called Time to Wonder.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I have seen in schools that a lot of kids come in and just want to be that robot student. Come in, sit down, tell me what to do, and I'm going to be the taskmaster. I'm going to go through it. I'll do what you said. I'll turn it in. You grade it. You give it back. And I really want to shift and try to focus on what curiosity looks like in the classroom, and how do we build curiosity in students and that ability to wonder about things and pursue those wonders. And it comes down to people will say, well, I don't have time for that stuff in the classroom. And I think let's maybe re-examine what we are doing, and is that the best use of our face time with kids? And how can we really maximize that time, giving them and building in that time and structure for surprise and wonder and curiosity to help students really care about learning. I know I'm just so pie in the sky. I wish for all kids that they could care about learning, but I think about myself as a learner. While I was not great at the game of school, I am one of the most curious people I know. And I still am a super curious person. And how can we channel that energy and intrigue for learning things into the classroom? That's what
I can vouch for your curiosity, and I think that's why you and I get on so well. Now, the other thing that you're kind of known for is being one of the HyperDoc girls. Yes. Tell us about HyperDocs.
So HyperDocs were something that Kelly Hilton and Sarah Landis and I invented and created in our classrooms, because we needed to learn ways to use technology for more effective instruction. Again, the carts were being moved into our classrooms, and teachers were just teaching one link at a time. Do a link and then they say, no one's listening to me. How can I get their attention? And it's because everyone was off and running on the computers. So we developed HyperDocs, which are digital lessons that teachers create and give directly to the student. And we try to, in these lessons, focus it all around purposeful lesson design with intent to meet the needs of the kids you're working with. So if you have students with special needs, you can design that lesson with certain elements included. Maybe it's the instructions are written and there's a video set of instructions because you did a live lecture, but you need that support after they get going with the lesson they can refer back to. So it's just putting in these elements in your lesson that students can then do semi-independently if you want, if that's the way you designed it, or that ebb and flow between on tech and off tech, and it's packaging everything in one place instead of putting a link here, a link there, and in kids, their organization and their executive functioning kind of goes crazy. And they can't figure out.
Sort of say, so it's like a digital worksheet then, but it's way more than that, isn't it?
It's way more. Now, if you look at it and you didn't know about it, or you weren't focused with an eye for that purposeful lesson design, literally, now my teenagers say that word literally all the time, but this is the real use. Literally, it is a Google Doc or a Google slide deck with links on it. So yes, you can say that, but when you close read these lessons and you really examine them and take some time, it is all about the lesson design, getting kids to, shift in that cycle of learning, getting them to explore before I explain the concept, and then getting them to apply. So that cycle of learning alone, that shift to explore, explain, apply, was the biggest game changer in my classroom. And we love sharing lessons and watching kids learn through that cycle.
Yeah, the whole HyperDoc concept. I mean, everywhere I turn now, I hear people talking about HyperDoc. So you've really started something, you three. You've written a book about HyperDocs. If I was more organized, I'd hold it up here and say, I don't have one with me, but you probably do.
I just happen to have one sitting here.
There you go. The HyperDoc handbook. What's in that?
So the handbook, it's called a handbook because we really wanted to help teachers. We build this off of a template, and the template is what helps teachers really get going with the lesson design. And so we have our basic template on here. It's also, all of this is online. Some people just like to hold the book, and read through it and highlight. And there's us paper people who still love that. But then there are these tables in here that go through each piece of that template and give you ideas. What do I put in this section? What am I supposed to plan and design for the explore section? And then what do I put for the explain section? And it just gives you ideas on how to support that idea of moving from an assigner of work to a designer of the work that kids do. So it changes the way you look at how you're packaging and creating lessons for kids.
Yeah, that's what I like most about it. It encourages teachers to think more about lesson design. And that whole, and I know you're a big proponent of sort of understanding by design and that whole way of thinking about things. And it's a nice methodology because it kind of really pushes people into thinking about the way their lessons are structured.
And you know what happens when we are pushed into critical thinking and creating? We feel creative. Teachers, and it awakens the craft that we have been working on and practicing for a long time. And once we feel creative, it brings this new energy to the work you're doing. I think that's a surprising part. Instead of looking at it as more work, it's this energizing work that gets you very excited about what you do.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've known teachers who, and they're usually at the geeky end of the scale, who have used things like websites and all sorts of things for many years to do a similar kind of thing and package their lessons into like a website. But I guess what the HyperDoc stuff does is it makes that so accessible because it's just a Google Doc. Like, I'm a teacher, I can do a Google Doc. You say website design and people freak out, but
Right. No, and even more so, we knew the time challenge and the stress of being new to HyperDocs, and that there was one right way. There is no one right way, but learning from our colleagues is so important, and having those mentor samples and examples. So in the same time, we started Teachers Give Teachers. Then if you haven't heard of that, we're on Twitter at TSGiveTS. We're also teachersgiveteachers.net. And we created this database where teachers were turning in their digital lesson designs and sharing them. And we have, in our Facebook group, we almost have 15,000 teachers in there. And it's so active, of the nicest people I've ever seen on social media, giving advice, talking through their strategies of instruction, and then just sharing these amazing lessons. And because they're Google Docs or slides, or they're really easy to go to file and make a copy, and then you can go with it and just edit and redesign it to fit your needs.
I love the story, because I've heard you say it a few times. I love the story about how Teachers Give Teachers started, and I'm going to ruin it now because I'm sure it's in your keynote somewhere, but it's a great story about how that started. You've obviously, working in that community, 15,000 people, you must have some great HyperDoc success stories of hearing the impact in the classroom.
Yeah, it's the most important thing to me is what the kids say about the learning. And when they feel empowered as learners, and they feel, when you start to build agency in students, and they say, you mean I get to learn, I have best line, I get to learn just to learn? Wait, there isn't I get to just explore this, and there isn't like a catch, there's not a test. We're like, no, we want to build curiosity. And so we set these lessons up that put them through these exercises. It's almost like gym class, right? Getting them to exercise that curiosity part of their brain. And they love it. And they're like, wait, is there a catch? What do we have to do? And I always love that. When I can shift my robot students to be the curious thinkers that I'm telling you, I feel like we can get kids curious about any topic, as dry as it might be, as long as we start off being curious and modeling that and building opportunities for that kind of freedom.
Yeah, I think it's a great fit for New Zealand, because as I think we were talking about the other day, New Zealand education is, I think, the best education system in the world. I think what they do there, the way they structure learning there, is a model that the rest of the world should borrow from. And what you're doing there with the HyperDocs and the way you're thinking about the understanding by design and the learning design and everything else just fits so perfectly with New Zealand education, which is why I'm so excited to have you coming to Christchurch and Auckland and sharing with the Kiwis over there. So while you're there, is there anything special you want to do in New Zealand? It's a pretty amazing country.
Well, not a lot of people know this about me, but I have a huge curiosity and passion. You're going to laugh because you'll never guess, for geology. I'm serious. I think if I was not a teacher, I would be a geologist. And I'm really fascinated by the geology in New Zealand. And I cannot wait to see the mountains and the rocks and the and all of it. I'm actually starting my own study right now, preparing for the trip. So that I want to know how that mountain got there and how this was created.
Well, there's so much to see and do in New Zealand. I mean, Christchurch, unfortunately, as you know, a couple of years ago, they suffered a terrible earthquake, and they're still feeling the effects of that earthquake. But geologically, it's a fascinating country. And of course, you go up north to Auckland. There's a place you can stand in Auckland where you're standing on an extinct volcano and you're looking around, and it's literally a ring of volcanoes that goes entirely all around the Auckland, the Bay Area. It's a great country, lots to see and do.
Nice.
I think I can't wait for you to be here. So just those dates again for anyone who's watching this and would love to check out the events and meet Lisa in person. So we've got the Christchurch Summit happening at Holswell School in Christchurch on the 15th and 16th of April, although Lisa will only be there for the 15th. We're going to work you very hard that day. You come and do a keynote and then basically do workshops all day. Hey, tell us about your workshops quickly.
So the workshops are hands-on, where you come in and I really want you to experience these HyperDocs as a learner. So you get to experience one as a student, and that saves a lot of time with me trying to tell you what they are. And then I teach you how to make them yourself. And so I then get to walk around and get to know you and see the kinds of lessons that you're designing. And I'm most excited about that because Chris has talked to me so much about teachers in New Zealand, and I cannot wait to pull some of your magic and learn from you I think that's what I get most out of doing these sessions, is I learn a lot from other teachers and their creative ideas. And I love to bring that home and share with my teachers in California about, you should see what these teachers in New Zealand are doing, you know.
Oh, yeah,
I'm looking really forward to that. So I get to spend a lot of time in my sessions with you while you're designing, and I'll support you. But I'm bringing so many links and resources that I'm going to send you down multiple rabbit holes that hopefully you'll be excited and curious about. I'm going to treat you like I treat my students.
Excellent. Well, that's day one in Christchurch, and then of course you jump on a plane, fly up to Auckland the next day, and you'll be in Auckland on the 16th and 17th. They get you for 2 days, and hopefully you'll have a bit of time to sightsee and look around while you're there. If anyone wants to know more about what exactly is going to happen, there's the EdTechTeam app on mobile, on iOS or Android, and you can go on there, and the schedules are all there. You can just find Lisa's name and read a little bit about Lisa's background. I know you probably can't see that, it's blowing out. There you go. You can read about Lisa, you can read the session descriptions, you can find out everything that's happening there. So that's the EdTechTeam app. Just go to your app store, iOS or Android, and just search for the app's called EdTechTeam Events, and just install that. Find Christchurch or Auckland, or any other hundreds of summits that we do every year all around the world. Lisa, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking some time out and joining us and telling us all about what you're going to be doing with us in New Zealand.
I can't wait. Can't wait to see you all.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Christchurch, 15th, 16th, Auckland, 16th, 17th. Be there or be somewhere else, I guess. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.